Hi everyone, welcome to X's and O's, and let's get right into it. We're going to look at the James Jones touchdown against the Falcons on Sunday.
You know I like
70
that.
yards, of course you do. I thought this play was kind of significant because of how the Packers handled a corner blitz.
Right.
And basically they've got two wide receivers and they got Jermichael Finley split out, and he's covered by a cornerback, and then they're in the I formation.
Right.
So I guess what we'll start with is this is going to wind up being a cornerback blitz. And here's the interesting part. This guy starts out here, the corner, and then he walks up. Tell me what Aaron Rodgers is looking at as he watches that guy walk up.
Well, right away, the defense think it's S personnel, S for Sam, because the guys are split out, but it's not. The illusion is this is regular people. The tight end is just outside, and they're just split you out. Aaron Rodgers knows I have max protection, so he's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys just to block everybody. So he doesn't have to panic. He can go through his matchups. But when the guy starts to kind of creep up, you can see Aaron takes a peep at him and say, okay, what's going on here? So now, in Aaron's mind, I can look for my matchups. I don't have to hurry. If these guys can just give me enough time to go to my second progression, we can make a big play.
Right.
Now, the good thing about it is this is hard for Grant. Because once that play fake comes through here like this, you know, you got guys looping in like this and that guy coming in like this. It's hard to get a fake and come out and redirect and come up and block these guys. But they did a wonderful job. Now Aaron reverses out, comes here. Now you have Jones. He can come up, make a move, and run what we call an 8 route on the safety, which is a bad matchup. Now you get a 70-yard touchdown. Now, the defense backside, you know, you got a rolled up corner back on Jennings, and the safety was like here. So the middle, this linebacker was rotating over, but the middle was wide open. A lot of that had to do with the play fake. So, and plus, not to remember, let's go back. You got a rookie here, and you got a second-year guy here. This play takes a long time.
Right, and these guys ran a twist here, and
which is
you know,
difficult.
where the end came around, and they actually handled that pretty well.
Right.
Sherrod, this guy took him way inside.
Took him
Sherrod
way inside.
kind of got his hands up in the guy's face,
Right.
but they didn't call it. So, but he held his own on it.
Yeah.
Now, one thing you pointed out. Now, so let's say Rodgers sees this. There's two possibilities. The guy could be playing bump and run,
Right.
coming up to play bump and run, or he could be blitzing. So what happens if he plays bump
If he
and run?
plays bump and run, again, the matchup will go backside because Rodgers is very good at this. That's why I think guys should study him. In his progression, if this guy stays on James Jones, he's going to reverse out and look for Jennings right here on a slant because remember, this linebacker is leaving that zone. There's the avoided zone right there.
Right.
And there's your other 70-yard touchdown.
Right. Now let's,
So he'll just look for matchups on that.
let's say that this guy stays because he doesn't have to cover this zone. Let's say he stays here and takes Jennings.
If he stays there and avoids this zone and he doesn't like this matchup, the matchup goes back to Jermichael Finley on a cornerback.
Right.
You know, you got a 6'5" guy on a cornerback, maybe 5'10",
Right.
5'10", sorry. And remember this, Atlanta Falcons, their secondary may be the smallest in the league.
Yeah.
And one of their other guys got hurt anyway. But Rodgers finds these matchups. All this happens, Tom, 1, 2, 3, the ball's out.
Yeah.
And if it's not out, he'll scramble around, stop, and plant and throw up another
Right.
60 yards.
But
so.
this was a case where, this is one of those cases where the protection was so good that he even pumped once or did like that, and he had all day. He let James Jones let this route play out.
And real quickly, Rodgers' mechanics helps him put the ball where he wants it. Because if you notice, he didn't put any air under that ball.
No.
You know, and I think that was one of the balls that Jermichael Finley dropped. He put some air on. I mean, he took the air out of it. Another ball that Donald Driver went through his hands, he took the air out of it. So he throws the ball only where his receivers can get to it.
Yeah.
That's very important.
Yeah, so kind of an interesting deal here. So now we're going to look, on the next play, we're going to look at a Rams blitz that the Packers might see on Sunday, although maybe they want to see it. So
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, we'll look at it right now. Okay, so here's the play from the, this is from the Rams, Washington in week 3.
Yeah.
And I thought this was
Washington's
interesting. On offense, right. This is the Rams defense. So what we're seeing here, their head coach is Steve Spagnuolo, who grew up under Philadelphia defensive coordinator, the late Jim Johnson, who was a blitz maniac.
Yeah.
Really very creative.
That guy blitzed a lot.
So I don't know if we'll see this, but we'll talk about it. This was a blitz where the Rams brought just about everybody up on the line of scrimmage.
Every eligible guy.
Why don't you show, I'll show you, these two guys walked up right here before the snap.
Now what I will say is the Rams do a good job of disguising it.
They wait till the last second.
Yeah, till you get into your cadence. Now, they need, one thing that'll throw this off is what Rodgers does. He takes his cadence to another level. He'll go blue 28, blue 28, hut, ask for the ball, but doesn't really want it. And these guys will get to lean in. Oh, it's a blitz. Now he can pick his matchup. If they're patient, when Rodgers gets through that first cadence, get into his second cadence, then you'll begin to see the matchup problems.
Okay,
but what they
so
do, I mean, these guys, they come all the way here,
right?
And then and next thing you know,
he walks up.
And then this safety come up, this backer come up. If you look across, you're going to look like it's 11 guys all up on the ball.
Yeah, and there's 8 right in this.
Yep, all in that
right in
and here they come.
And you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to block.
Right. And see, the problem is you get that defensive end to just hold that tackle.
Right.
He doesn't want to really rush, just hold that tackle. Now this back has to make a choice. Which one of these guys do I block?
Right.
He has to step up here. But the problem was, when you got a guy up and bump and run, if he doesn't get a good bump, you almost have to force pick this guy. And this guy could not get through. And this wide receiver came right here. He was wide open.
Well, this tight end, this safety comes down.
Right.
And instead of blitzing, he covers the tight end. But this was probably a bump and run situation. If he jams them, this guy, okay, so this is Santana Moss, and he runs this in route.
He was wide open.
Wide open. But if this guy bumps and runs and holds him here, this guy has a much easier shot at getting.
And that's what I was told by Doug Evans. He said, if you're going to go up on Shannon Sharp, you got to make sure you jam him so I can clear. Because if you miss the jam, now I got to fight through, and it's a pick situation.
Right.
Both of our guys are going to be wide open.
Right.
So the guy that goes up and aggressive has to be aggressive. I can't see them doing this on Jermichael Finley.
Right, trying to bump him because that safety could get beat deep.
He could get beat deep. And then you got Jennings on the inside. And then for the most part, the best matchup would be if they had Jordy Nelson in the game outside on a corner king. Now, the good thing about this was, Rex Grossman for the Redskins, he threw the ball in the right area. The guy dropped the pass. Moss dropped the pass. It resulted in a
this guy kind of went this way.
Interception.
Moss here, it goes right off his hands. He picks it off and goes the other direction. Now, you were just talking about the Packers. If this is Jennings, that's a tough matchup for one of their corners to take him one-on-one. And I think probably the Packers are going to be looking for this kind of situation.
Right. And I mean, trust me, they're going to blitz. Okay, but the problem is you got to find out where the blitz is coming from. It can come from the corner blitz, or you can come from the slot guy blitzing, or they can just what we call a casino blitz. That means you're rolling the dice. You bring everybody. You bring everybody except for the three corners, and you almost got 8 guys going after the quarterback.
Yeah. And
you just let the chips fall where they may. And sometimes, for the most part, it works. But, boy, you're putting a lot of stress on these corners, and that's where the Packers can hurt you.
Yeah, and these guys have 2 weeks, they were on a bye last week, so they've had 2 weeks to sit there in their laboratory and try to dissect the Packers.
I wouldn't be surprised if we were talking about Jordy Nelson or Randall Cobb, because remember, you put Randall Cobb in, no one can cover that guy down the perimeter.
Right.
So they would bring him in, and they also have a series of plays where they'll let these guys go through. Don't even block them, run a middle screen with Starks or Grant, and that can be a home run play.
I think the other thing is against Atlanta, I thought they ran a lot of draws out of this play. And that's another thing. If you catch the right blitz, that
It
can
could
go
be
a
a
long
home
way,
run.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see if how much the Rams,
Yeah.
you know, blitz, especially with
Well, they're
their
saying,
corner
you know,
situation.
we're not picked to win the game anyway, so let's go down and fight. They may blitz, you know, 40% of the time.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you something, it's tough for these tackles to find out who do I block. Because now you're just not just blocking a defensive end.
Yeah.
You got to move all the way out and block a cornerback or a linebacker or a safety. But you got to pick all that up. So
Right.
protection this week is vital.
Yep. Yep. And especially for that guy, and that relates to the play we just showed before.
Absolutely.
Got to be able to pick guys up. So that's it for X's and O's. Thanks for joining us, and we'll be back after the St. Louis game, and
Yep.
we'll be breaking that down.